So welcome everybody officially. My name is Christine Weiser. I'm the Content Director for Tech and Learning, and we are thrilled to partner with the New York City Department of Education today, specifically the Division of Specialized Instruction and Student Support and the Office of Digital Inclusion and the New York City School Library System. And a special thank you to all of our partners like EachHawk for joining us today, making it possible. So please be sure to stop by their booths and say hi. You can do a live chat. You can book a meeting, so please stop by and say hello. You can also network with all the attendees there. There's a registrant directory, so you can get in touch with each other that way. We will have all of the videos posted up in our resources hub after the conference. And we have a couple of resources there you might want to check out. So that's on the resource hub on the conference event hub. And then of course we have our Passport to Prizes, which is another favorite. So throughout the conference hub, you'll find several buttons where you can enter yourself in for Passport to Prizes. And each time you find a button and fill in the form, you can get a new entry into the raffle. And we will be doing the drawing after this in the closing session. So for this session, if you have any questions for our presenters, please put them in the chat. You can turn on the closed captioning just by going down to that transcript button there and just put show subtitle, and that will allow the captions to display for you. And then please be sure to tweet at NYC Schools Inclusion. I'll put that in the chat as well. And I'll also put the links for CETL credits too. So with that, I will hand this over to our friends at EachHawk to take it away.
Super. Christine, thank you so much for the introduction and for getting us started up. I am Daniel Watts. I'm the founder and CEO of EachHawk.
Hi, everyone. I'm Tinsley Maier, and I'm the Director of Project Management at EachHawk.
Hi, everybody. My name is Dave Milne. I'm the Head of Product and Technology at EachHawk. I think I've met a lot of you guys before. I'm happy to be talking to you today.
Let's see. So our topic today is how I built an accessible website without lifting a finger. And I think we all know there's been a lot of pressure over the last year to improve website accessibility in New York. And I think we also all know that there's a looming deadline in December to get WCAG compliant. The proxy for that in New York is getting a 5 on the accessibility scorecard. And I think we also all know that given COVID and everything that's happened, the importance of the website is greater than it ever has been. It's the place where parents and students and even faculty find out information about what's going on in the school. So given all of that pressure and everything that's going on, it can be a lot of work to be in the webmaster's seat, as you all, I think, know. But Dave and Tinsley and I are here to say today that it doesn't have to be hard or take very long to create a new website that's beautiful and easy to maintain, and that gets a 5 for accessibility. So to that end, Tinsley is going to spend some time today talking about our onboarding process and what it takes and how long it takes and how much effort on your part and how much work we do to get you a new site up and running. And then Dave is going to give a hands-on introduction to EachHawk's guide product. It's a tool that makes it easy to find and fix accessibility problems, and also even prevents you from creating new problems as you create content on your site. So that's the basic agenda for today between Tinsley and Dave. But first, before getting going, I thought I might share just a little bit about EachHawk. I know it can be confusing with so many different providers in New York providing websites. I know Edleo is here today and they're great, and Wix is also here today. They're great. And then of course you all know, Google is a provider and WordPress is a provider. Weebly is a provider. So what's the difference between all these folks? Are they all kind of the same? So I thought I'd just tell you a little bit about New York. So we've got a map of New York up here on the site, and a couple of numbers. You can kind of guess what they are. But the first number is 1999. We started in New York City in 1999. It was a long time ago. I had been a teacher at JHS 258, the Ruggles School in Brooklyn, before starting EachHawk. And our first pilot schools were New York City public schools. And still today, New York is our biggest client. And I believe we're also the largest provider of websites to the New York City DOE schools with over 200 plus. That's the 200 plus number there. New York City schools using EachHawk today. I think it might be 230 or 40, somewhere around there. So we're committed to New York. We love New York. We're New Yorkers, and we're super psyched to be here again this year for this forum. The second thing about EachHawk that's a little bit different is that we consider ourselves just as much a service company as a software company. We know that the webmaster job in a school is difficult, and that when you need something fixed or explained or done on your website, you need it right away. And so we made a commitment to always answer the phone and answer your emails immediately, and make sure it's our number one priority to fix whatever you need fixed as soon as is humanly possible. So that's kind of number two about EachHawk, is we really are a service company. That's our focus, and that's why, and Tinsley will talk a little bit more about this, the 9.6 number. 9.6 webmasters out of 10 at the end of the onboarding process say that they would highly recommend that process to a peer. So we're really, really proud of that. It's our focus of being great partners to New York City schools and service providers to our webmasters. So that's the second thing about EachHawk that's just a little bit different. And the third thing is that we are accessibility experts. We have focused the last 3 years software development on accessibility, both making our platform highly accessible and also creating the guide tool that Dave will share with you in just a minute. I think that's the reason that DIIT chose us to, in conjunction with DIIT, deliver the dig-in training sessions at our offices. I think that's what Dave was referring to earlier. Dave delivered, I don't know if it was 40 or 50 of those sessions before COVID shut them down. And hundreds of New York City DOE webmasters came through our offices and had pizza and did a intensive 3-hour session on accessibility. And that focus on accessibility is why I think that we are the only CMS in New York whose schools score an average of 5 on the scorecard. So among all of those different CMSs, only EachHawk schools have an average of the best score possible. So those are the 3 things that we really focus on: New York, service, and accessibility. And with that, I thought I'd turn it over to Tinsley to talk a little bit about, and I guess Tinsley also some of our principals and webmasters to talk about the process for building an EachHawk site.
Thanks, Daniel. Yes, I would love to talk a little bit about our onboarding process and our approach to working with New York City schools. I think it's important for you to hear from your peers. So we actually interviewed a couple people. Wanda Montanez is here today from IS-254. We're so glad she could make it. And I'd love to get started by showing her video. I'm not hearing any audio. I can try sharing my screen as well.
Still no audio?
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Ms. Wanda Montanez. I'm a parent coordinator in the Bronx at IS-254. Our visions and goals selecting a new platform was to make sure that we stood out, that we were accessible to our families and to our community in a whole. Okay. The reason why we chose EachHawk was because of the whole layout and the convenience, the customer service, everything you guys have to offer. If I ran EachHawk, would be the ideal company. Like, you look for certain things when you want to do business with people, and you guys are one of the first ones that I thought of because I had seen you before at another school. And I had always wanted to use this as our platform. Our experiences working with EachHawk has been phenomenal. And everything was just like readily available for us. We wanted something and you guys offered it. Everything was detailed. Everything was scheduled perfectly. You guys are very accommodating. Whatever we need, you're like, we can do. And there was no fussing, no hassling over anything. Everything was just seamless. Like I said, it's the best thing ever. Like I said, customer service with you guys and how you guys function and how organized and structured you are is the best. I like everything. Let me do pick one. The announcements page and the fact that I can do it on my own makes it even better. So it's great. Everything is great. Do I have any advice for people looking or to create a new website? Yes. Don't do it on your own. Save yourself the headache and go directly to EachHawk. It makes it so much easier, especially when you don't have the experience. You guys do everything and you cover everything. So there's no questions that are not answered. There's nothing that's not taken care of. You guys cover it all. Thank you all again for all the work that you do. We really appreciate you. And for anybody out there who needs a new website, definitely EachHawk. They're number one.
Tinsley, you're muted.
Awesome. Thank you, Daniel. I want to thank Wanda for doing that. It was just so great to hear from her. And I'd love to talk a little bit more about our process when we're onboarding new schools. The entire process is 5 easy steps, and it takes less than 2 weeks to get your site up and running. On day 1, I have our kickoff and design conversation where we talk about how you want your new site to look, the navigation, the look and feel. And then I work with a team at EachHawk to build the website. We'll make sure that it looks great and is accessible. We'll have a check-in call on day 7. That's just half an hour where we go through your site and make sure that you love everything on there. If you have any changes, of course, we make them really quickly and make sure that you're really happy with the site before we move on to professional development. The professional development session is 90 minutes. This happens around day 9. And we want to make sure that you feel really comfortable managing your new EachHawk site. After that, it's your Guide launch accessibility training. Dave is going to talk a little bit more about Guide, which is our built-in accessibility tool. I love Guide. I use it every time that I build a new site, and it helps me to feel confident that I'm making sure that the content is all accessible. And finally, on day 14, your site is live and you have unlimited support from our incredible support team. With that, I would love to show you another interview that we did. This is with Amanda Lista from 10R. I don't know if Amanda could make it today, but here is her video.
Hi, my name is Amanda Lista. I am a teacher and the SPOC at PS10 Fort Hill Collaborative Elementary in Staten Island, New York. So some of our visions and goals as a school when selecting a new platform was that we wanted to make sure we partnered with someone that not only set up our website for us, but that was able to provide professional development and training for teachers so that we can sustain the website and to continue keeping it accessible and up to date. And that was one of the main reasons why we decided to use EachHawk. So our experience working with EachHawk has been very positive and eye-opening. I think that having the people from EachHawk at each step of the way guiding us and working with us and giving us hands-on training has really made it a lot easier of an experience. So one of my favorite parts of the new site are our Twitter feed, as well as our photos. I think that it showcases our school and showcases our students and all the wonderful things that we do at our school. So something that I think is really important about this website that is really special to us at PS10 is a lot of our parents are Spanish-speaking parents. So for them to be able to go on our website and to access the information in Spanish or in any other language that they may speak is super important for us to make sure that we build that home school communication. So my experience with using the EachHawk guide, the accessibility tool, has really been during trainings for right now. And I like how I was able to go into the photos and I was able to make the alt text for each photo. And it was super easy, and it kind of like was a forum for you to just type in what you needed, and didn't make it as confusing and as difficult. So I enjoyed using that, as well as the alert tab that comes up and tells you whatever you're posting, if it's accessible or not. So it's something you can keep up with. Every time you post something, go back and check, make sure that it was good. So that really helps, so things don't pile on.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Amanda. That was great. And one thing that we really pride ourselves in is telling each school's story. And like Daniel said, we have a 9.6 out of 10 average satisfaction score for onboarding, which we're so happy with. We love making sure that everyone who comes onto EachHawk just loves their new site. And with that, we will go to our last interview.
Hi, everybody. My name is Amelia Joseph. I'm the parent coordinator at PS97 Queens in Woodhaven. We have an amazing community, and we were truly, truly blessed to work together and support our families in all the ways that we can.
My name is Yassine Aggoub. I'm the interim acting principal at PS97 in Woodhaven, New York, in the borough of Queens. I'm very excited to be part of this school community. I look forward to our collaboration throughout this school year and many years to come. As a school building leader, as someone that's taken the helm at the administration level at PS97, I started to identify areas that I can improve as a school building leader. One of the things that caught my attention was the school website.
I'm going to speak a little bit about our experience with EachHawk and the time frame, and I have to say that the team at EachHawk has been beyond amazing. The timing was excellent. Everything that was promised was delivered to the date and the time. The meetings have been very, very easy to access, and the PDs that we've received have been wonderful. We even have the recordings that I do go back to every now and again just to refresh my memory. So the experience has been wonderful.
I mean, just the fact that immediately it grabs your attention from the images and the Twitter feeds and the announcements, they're all, as soon as you get on there, you have that immediate, access to information.
But the website itself is, like Mr. Aggoub said, very appealing to the eye. It draws you in, but the accessibility, you can actually see when you upload it if it's accessible and what you need to change so that it meets all of the requirements. For me personally, is really a great tool. So that's like my favorite part. When I use Guide, I upload something, and I'll use all the tools that are available, and I just get a feeling of confidence that what I put up on the website is going to be okay. And using Guide has been very, very easy. As much as I was intimidated in the beginning, I feel much more comfortable right now. I'm going to share a little bit about what our parents have shared with us. And I did receive a phone call this morning, and Mrs. Joseph, the website, oh my gosh, what did you do? And I'm like, oh boy. And the parents really have been very responsive. They love it. They said that they're able to find things much easier, and they can't wait to see it grow.
So if any, school that's looking for a platform where they want to communicate in real time, they want to send messages in real time, and make sure that their website is the first place to go for information, EachHawk has definitely delivered on that. So I definitely highly recommend any school or any principal that want to enhance their school website experience or just enhance the way they share information with parents and school communities. EachHawk is definitely the best way to go, and it's really not expensive at all, so it's worth the money.
Any advice that I can give to any people that may be considering this, it has been, like I said, I was very intimidated, and it has been a pleasure. Working with the team, the support, the 800 number, and the guides and the recordings of the trainings. So the support is there, and don't be intimidated, because it really is an amazing platform, and I think it will be beneficial to our community.
Awesome. A huge thank you to Mr. Aggoub, Ms. Joseph, Ms. Lista, and Ms. Montanez for being part of this. I'm so glad that they were able to share their experiences with you. As Ms. Joseph was saying, Guide, our built-in accessibility checker, is really easy to use, and I'd love to pass it over to Dave for him to show you live.
Okay, hello everybody. Sorry about that little transition there. I've met a lot of you over the past year at my accessibility trainings. I recognize a bunch of the names on the list here. I'm looking forward to when we can all get together in person again to do this. But before I do, I just want to say, thank you to Tinsley and Daniel for what they've shown us so far. A huge thank you to Wanda from IS254 in the Bronx, Amanda from PS10 in Staten Island, and Amelia and Yassine from PS97 in Queens. As a Queens born and raised boy, I am very, very glad and proud when I see EachHawkers in Queens doing well. But a big thank you to all the New York City schools who I've worked with this year, especially the EachHawkers who make me so proud that they're doing so well. As Daniel mentioned, that's earned a 5 out there, and we couldn't do that without you guys. So happy that for the EachHawkers that are on the phone and that we've talked to and worked with this year. And today we'll talk a lot about Guide and how everybody is able to stay accessible. Once they get their accessible site, how to keep it accessible and make sure that all the stuff that you're creating, all that content is available for everybody out there. So, during the trainings, I kept hearing over and over that, making an accessible site is too hard. It's too much work, that it's just so much to do. And I think that, EachHawkers have proved that that's not really the case, or, at least it doesn't have to be that complicated, that hard to do these types of things. If you've attended my trainings, you've heard that this is a shared responsibility, right? Part of this falls on the platform, and that's somebody like EachHawk or, whatever platform you pick. And part of it is on the webmaster. And that's the content that you're creating. We have to do that in an accessible way. Our platforms have to be free of accessibility problems. Your platform needs to handle many things for you right from the start. Every theme that the platform offers should be accessible. You shouldn't have to pick or worry about picking whether you're choosing parts of a platform that are accessible and parts that aren't. If you have an EachHawk site, you can be assured that these platform issues and anything that is platform related is going to be taken care of for you. You don't have to worry about it. All of it's just baked in. It's built into the system. You don't have to worry about whether you have to turn it on or configure it or any of that stuff. It's handled automatically for you. But the platform's really only half the battle, right? You need to create accessible content and know that it's going to work for everyone when you do. There are many, many things to keep in mind when creating content to ensure that it's going to work for everybody out there. These days, information is changing so quickly. We need to get it out as fast as possible, and we need to make sure that everyone's able to access it, everyone's able to read it, everyone's able to understand the information we're putting on the web. It can be a lot of work to make sure that it's all accessible. And I know that many of you feel this way when you're working on your sites, but it doesn't have to be this way. It doesn't have to be frustrating to make accessible sites. That's why we built EachHawk Guide. We know how difficult it can be to make your site accessible without guidance of someone who understands both accessibility and web design. guide was built so that anyone in your school can create accessible content. It will find the issues that you have in your content that's out there right now. It will find issues in new content you're creating before you publish it, so you can fix them before they're ever public, before anyone ever has an issue with the content that's out there. Guide's going to let you know how to fix it, and it's going to do it in a really easy way. These warnings are built so that they're very easy to understand. They're written in plain English. They help teach you about making better content, more accessible content as you're creating. So with that, I'd just like to take it for a spin and get out of the presentation mode and show you what it actually looks like. Now, I've created a web page here that looks a lot like many web pages out in New York City. There's all kinds of different content here. There's links lists, there's galleries, there's text blocks, there's all kinds of information that we see on standard New York City websites. And when I run the Wave tool on it, you guys can see familiar reporting, right? We get all these kinds of information from Wave, and it puts all kinds of icons on the screen, and it can be very difficult to understand where everything is or what it's doing and why it's actually a problem. Wave gives us a bunch of information, but it doesn't fix anything for us. It does, help us understand what's going on the page, but it can be difficult depending on your platform to actually fix your problems with the Wave tool. That's why we built EachHawk Guide. When we look at Wave, it was complicated, and it doesn't walk us through actually correcting some of these problems out there. And so if I take a look at this same page inside of Guide, and I've got my alert up here, let me close that for now. We can see right off the bat that this page has 31 active accessibility warnings currently on the page. Now, we actually are finding more things than the Wave tool can find. Now, most automated testing tools are limited to about 30% of actual accessibility problems out there. Ours can find a little bit more because we can run our tests on the back end. So we can understand the content a little bit better than a tool like the Wave tool or a third-party tool that can scan your web page after it's published. So we see that there's about 31 different warnings here. I get an overview of what all these different types of warnings are on my page. And when I go in to actually edit this and fix it, I can see in these blocks that there are a bunch of different warnings going on. So this first block, the COVID-19 updates, has 20 warnings in it. It's probably an incredibly vital block that people would want to make sure they understood very well. We want to make sure that all that content there doesn't present a problem for someone that might have a disability. So if I go in and edit this, I can go in and take a look at what's actually going on with this block of code. And when I take a look at the accessibility report, I can see there's 20 things here. There's 2 alt text issues. There's 3 header issues. There's 10 problems with link names. There's 1 PDF file in here that we'll have to take a look at and decide what we want to do. There's 3 color contrast issues, and there's a reading level issue. We'll go through these, and I will fix them in real time for you so you can see how easy it actually is. So the first one, the alt text is missing for this image. If the image is not purely decorative, you can add alt text by selecting it and selecting the alt text key. So we can see here, this is when I hit highlight, it shows me exactly what we're talking about. I can add alt text to it and call it the COVID-19 molecule, or if I spelled it properly. Okay. The next one, I've got the principal's headshot down here, and it's got the same problem, doesn't have any alt text on it. So I'm going to add alt text to that real quickly. And while I'm working, I just want to see and make sure that I got rid of those issues. So I'm going to hit save and rescan, and I'm down to 18 issues. Next up, I've got a couple of empty headers. Empty headers are really hard to find normally because when you look at the screen, there's nothing there for us to see. It's empty. But when I navigate with a screen reader, if I can't see this screen, one of the ways that I navigate is with a screen reader. Headings become the way that I actually can navigate around that page. And so here I've got empty headings, and they are a big problem for a screen reader because I think that there's actually a section of content there but there isn't anything for me to understand what's there. EachHawk, on many of the things that we'll fix, has this magic fix button. It will remove that empty heading, and it's no longer going to be a problem. Same thing happens with the next one. When I fix that one, both those empty headings should be gone. And then our third heading hierarchy problem, it looks like we actually used a heading on Tom Jones's signature here. That's always going to be usually going to be a problem. Headings should never be used as styles. And this is probably being used as a style because it makes the text slightly bigger. It makes it a little bit different. We don't want this to be a style, to be a heading. That's not a section of content. This is actually just the end of that content. And so we're going to change that back to paragraph. If I want to make it a little bit bigger, that's fine. I can do that. I can make it bold. I can make it stand out. That's going to make that kind of a problem go away. So we've taken care of all our heading issues. We took care of our alt text issues. Now we've got some suspicious links. And some of these are very similar to the empty headings. We've got a bunch of empty links. So I've got empty links all around the page. These links, and you can see where I'm highlighting, are actual links in the that used to be here on the page that I deleted, but I didn't delete all of it. There's some part of that link is still left over, and people with a screen reader may just play a list of links on the page because they're looking for a specific link. And when they do that and they see these empty links, it can be a very frustrating experience because they don't know necessarily where that link is going to go. We wanted to get rid of those links. We're going to use the fix button and remove all of those empty links right now. And we've gone from 20 issues when we first started this down to 9 issues. Let's keep going. We've got a suspicious link. This link text looks ambiguous. And says, for more information about our comprehensive testing program, click here. Well, click here is a link name here, and that doesn't tell me where I'm going to go. So if all I do is listen to a list of links, that's not going to give me enough information about where to go. What would be much better is to actually get rid of this entire sentence and make comprehensive diagnostic testing program our link. So I'm going to change that and make this our testingprogram.com link. And we'll get rid of that suspicious link. Next up, we've used underlined text. Now we flag underlined text because you shouldn't use it unless it's for a link. There are very rare cases where underlined text works out well. On the web, underlining things universally means that it is a link. It's very frustrating for people when you have underlined text in the paragraph or on your page because people think it's going to be a link. And so we don't want to have underlined text out there that isn't links. And we need to make sure that our links are actually programmed correctly so that they have proper underlining in place. EachHawk takes care of that for you. You don't have to underline your links themselves. So we can remove this underlining. We've got 2 more of these, one on the principal's name, and we'll remove that. And finally, we've got one on downtown high school, and that looks very much like a link to me, but it's not a link. So I'm going to remove that underlining. What we're left with now is a few contrast errors. And you can see this red on this background, it's very close to having a high enough contrast ratio to work properly, but it's just a little bit outside the realm of where we want it to be. And so EachHawk can tell you exactly what color will work so that the contrast ratio is high enough that it works for most people to be able to read it easily. When you have poor color contrast, that's a problem for people who have low vision. It's a problem for people who are colorblind. It can be a problem for people who just have tired eyes. We stare at screens all day long nowadays. And when your eyes are tired, when you read poor color contrast, it makes your eyes more tired. It makes us less likely to continue reading on that website or being able to continue working for the day. We want to make sure that contrast ratio is high enough that it's easy to read and not contribute to making people's eyes tired. Finally, if you ever look at your phone outside on a sunny day and you can't read that website, that's because it's got poor color contrast. We want to make sure that contrast is high. If you hit use suggested, we're going to change those colors to colors that work. And you can see those 2 reds have changed. The change was so minute that I doubt you even picked up on it. The blue is going to be a little bit more of a difference, but it's still a really close color contrast. I don't know how many of you got to sit in on Laura Agondo's session earlier today about writing in plain language and being able to lower your reading level to a 6th to 9th grade level. EachHawk can detect what the reading level is for the text on the page. And here I've got a text that is reading at a 9.51 grade level. That's pretty close to what we want it to be. It's not exactly where we want it, but so we're gonna take a look and see what we can edit. We're gonna remove this little extraneous bit of information and try to rescan it here. What I did was I got rid of a couple of the larger words here. So reading level is pretty simple to calculate. It's purely a mix of the number of words per sentence and the number of syllables per word on average. So when I got rid of some of those, 3 and 4 syllable words that were at the end of that sentence, we lowered the reading level drastically. It just works better for everyone. So I'm going to save this block. And we've gone from 31 issues originally to 11 issues now. The next issues I want to take a look at is what happens in photo galleries. We have photo galleries on all of our websites. We put out pictures all the time. We want to make sure that all those galleries are a good experience for people, whether they can see them or not. Alt text is the way that we can do this. Alt text also helps making sure that Google understands your page and can help you raise your SEO profile. So when you want to be found in Google, you want to make sure that you have alt text on your images because they will hurt your search result if you don't. Google will also decide what's going on in a photograph if you don't use alt text. So we want to make sure that you put alt text on all the pictures out there as you're going through. Now let's take a look at what we've got here. We've got the first image says, the image has the same alt text as other images on this page. That's not going to usually work. If I get to a gallery and I hear the same alt text, 10 times in a row with a screen reader, it doesn't give me any additional information. I don't understand anything more about those pictures or what's different about them. I can see that the first picture really is the new gym. The second picture looks like it's actually a pep rally at the new gym. So we want to actually say that this is a pep rally at the new gym pre-COVID. And that should remove 2 of our warnings right off the bat. Now I've got a couple of other pictures that have some issues. This alt text is extremely long. It's more than 100 characters long. In addition, when I look at this alt text, it looks like we put actual player names, our students' names in the alt text. When you put names in alt text, it becomes searchable. Google understands it. If people look at the code of your website, they can see it. We don't want to name students necessarily in these pictures. So if you wouldn't put that name on the page, don't put it in your alt text either. It's much better to keep this more generic. And in this case, this is the basketball team photo from 2019. So I can change this and just say basketball team photo 2019. And that's enough information for alt text here. If I keep going down the page, this bottom image starts with image of alt text, image of graduates is the alt text. That's a problem because screen readers tell people it's a picture already. You don't have to go and do it again. So it's much better if you just describe the photograph, tell them why it's on the page rather than telling them that it's a picture when they've already been told. And these are the class, whoops, of 2019 graduates. And then the final warning that I have here, the alt text for this image is suspicious because it might be too short to be meaningful. So this one is just the word kids. And that doesn't give me enough of a mental picture of what's going on here, why it's on the page. So I'm going to change this to be kids raising hands and apply it and save. And as we go down the page, we'll see we've removed all the errors in those first 2. I'm going to go really quickly in through quick links here. We've got 2 problems. One, this first link is just an image that doesn't have any alt text on it, so it's not telling anybody where that picture is going. The other one is a suspicious link. Like images with alt text, links are already identified by the browser. You don't have to tell them it's a link when you have a link. So let's go ahead and fix these two real quickly. This will be class directory. And this bottom one, we don't need to say link to environmental club. We'll just say environmental club. People will know where that's going to go. And then finally, I've got a suspicious link here, link to a helpful study guide. So we're going to change this and we're just going to say we've created a helpful study guide and get rid of that link too. Best practice on the web is to only underline text so we can find where that's underlined. Oh, I want to fix that, remove that underline. And then we've got that link is a PDF. Now I've already checked that PDF and I know it's accessible, so I'm going to whitelist this. I don't need to actually correct it. And finally, I've got color contrast issue. I'm going to use the automatic tool to fix that. And I no longer have any accessibility issues. I'm going to update my published page. And take a quick look. 0 errors, 0 contrast errors, 0 alerts. Guide can walk you through and fix all of that information for you. It's that easy. I went a little bit quick, but I've had people sit in my class for an hour or two and fix hundreds of issues on their websites. So I think you guys can all do it too. It's the easiest tool I've seen to make your websites accessible. And it is the reason why so many EachHawk sites are doing well out there, because they have a tool that teaches them about making good, accessible content for everyone. And so that's what's really helpful for people to be able to become accessible webmasters and have highly accessible sites on EachHawk. So with that, I just want to thank you all for joining us. We'll be here for a few questions. I know that I think Wanda and Yassine were here as well. And I don't know if anybody has questions, but we can definitely take some from the crowd.
I did see one question in the chat, Dave, about if you went, I don't know if about the, or unless you addressed it, whether it was DOE approved.
Let's see.
I'll jump in and answer that one, Dave, if that's okay. This is Chris Conforti,
Sure,
I'm Regional Sales Manager with EachHawk. And I know the question came in earlier whether EachHawk is a DOE approved vendor. We are a non-contracted FAMIS vendor. So you can purchase EachHawk using a FAMIS purchase order through sole source vendor. So if it's something that you're interested in, certainly feel free to reach out and we can get you some additional information on purchasing EachHawk through FAMIS.
And then Chris, this is Daniel. There's another question. Can we get your contact information, please? Up on the screen now are the 4 of us, our email addresses, and then the EachHawk telephone number. So feel free to contact any of us at those emails or to call 800-809-3349 with any questions.
Yeah, and in addition, we're running a Focus 15 series of webinars this fall. And these are 15-minute, really short, really focused webinars that have to do with a wide range of topics, everything from COVID communications to accessibility and website design and beyond. So if you're interested, please come join us for our webinars, and we're happy to talk about different topics. And then if you have ideas for subjects, let us know as well.
Great, Dave, thanks. I don't see any other questions. So
Yeah.
everybody who's, go ahead.
I was going to say, I put everything in the chat there because I was going to say that if anybody had additional questions, they could go back to your booth. We've got built in a little bit of time after this session, and there is the option to book a meeting with EachHawk as well if you'd like to dive in a little bit further on that.
Fantastic, Christine. Thank you so much. And everybody who participated, thank you. Really appreciate it. Dave and Tinsley, great job. Thank you. And I hope everybody has a great rest of the day, and that this election day turns out well for everyone. Talk to you soon. Adios.
Awesome. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
See you back at the hub, everybody.
Thank you, Christine. Bye, everyone.